We continue now with reactions to the ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule being issued with a warrant of arrest. We are now joined by ANC veteran Ike Moroe, who was the former advisor to Ace Magashule. A very good afternoon to you, Moroe, and good to have you with us this afternoon. Just your thoughts and your views. We've just heard the top six delivering the outcome of the meeting that they had while they were discussing the issue of Ace Magashule. What are your thoughts on what you heard? Does this instill confidence in you? Are you satisfied with how this is being dealt with thus far as a veteran?
Well, as a veteran of the ANC, a member of the National Council Executive, and a member of the Free State community, well, we feel that the decision of the top six falls short of our expectation. We expect the Secretary General of the ANC as a custodian of, the principles of the ANC, could have better understood that the conference resolution of the 54th National Conference, that those who found themselves appearing before the courts for the transgressions such as, corruption, should stand aside. We feel that it could have been much better had he opted to stand aside. Yeah, the decision of the top six falls short of our expectation.
Mr. Moroe, Ziyanda here from the politics desk. Now, we heard from the Deputy Secretary General almost in many ways endorsing and giving support to the Secretary General as he prepares to go appear in the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court. Does this sort of give you an indication of what could possibly be the relations within the top six, which would then give credence to what you've described as a response that has fallen short of what you would have expected?
Well, one is not a member of the top six. Neither, do I have an ear in the top six. But one would say that we don't expect, the ANC that one grew up in to support a comrade, regardless of his position, who goes to court on suspicions of having, misused the public purse. We think it is wrong.
Now, Moroe, you were the advisor to Ace Magashule for some years. If you could give us an idea, I mean, a lot of people would only know him from perhaps his role as Secretary General, but you've worked very intimately with him. How would you describe his leadership style? How would you describe him as a man that you know?
Perhaps I should point out that I started being the advisor in 2008 when Comrade Mashoff was still the premier. And as Comrade Ace came in, I was told to continue advising him. Well, I thought that he was the type of a comrade, who embraced everybody in his decision-making process. Hence, I am so shocked and disappointed to discover what one discovered in the past few years, that corruption is endemic, in the Free State provincial government, that there are so many things that are unbecoming that have happened, that so many comrades have been victimized, and all in the name of patronage and all in the name of, those who were refusing, to serve the bidding, of the premier then. So I'm disappointed, certainly.
Is this disappointment something that's coming after the fact now? Or is this a disappointment that was there while you were still in office? Did you actually witness any forms of irregularities that you alluded to now?
At that level, no, I didn't. The work of a special advisor, you don't advise in corners. You advise formally. The ministerial handbook is very clear on the role of the special advisor, that you don't have to be a friend, to the principal. You work strictly, according to the ministerial handbook. And that is what I did, But I must say that earlier on, before even Comrade Ace became the premier, there were, some rumblings amongst comrades. Then the province was divided between the north and the south. And there were serious rumblings, which one did not, take serious, because one thought that, comrades were new in government and they were still learning, the ropes in government. But later on, as I was about to leave in 2014, to leave that position, I realized that, some form of conduct or, that one did not agree with was beginning to creep in. And that was hurtful, to me.
One of the points that you've made is that corruption had found its way into major projects in every region of the province. Could you give us an outline of some of the key instances that you can think of that had adversely affected the Free State as far as corruption and irregularities in tender issuing, etc., are concerned?
Many Bloemfontein or Free State businesses that were blooming, and promising, to root themselves in the province, died when Comrade Ace, became the premier of the province during the course of his premiership in the province. There are many other instances. For instance, you take the incidents of the Ramkal prison, the old Bloemfontein prison, where the legislature precinct was supposed to be built. The reports are that 200 million was made available for that project, but today not even a stone was lifted or a stone was put, to initiate that project. It is the same in Velkom, in Lejwe-Leputswa, where G Hostel was supposed to be, rebuilt, for social housing and family units. Nothing happened, regardless of the fact that about 200 million rands is reported to have been paid, until the community formed a crisis committee. And after the crisis committee, made waves about the situation, one understands that another 300,000 rands, 300 million rands was made available only then, to initiate the project. There are so many instances. There's one in Orangeville, where 21 million rand was paid to a contractor who was appointed. The auditors went to that area to, audit on site if the project indeed exists. And they found nothing. No project was existing. There are instances of that are reported widely, and fortunately not much has been happening to, such reports. Like, for instance, the bucket eradication system. Hundreds of million rands were paid, I believe, through the money was transferred to Bloem Water. Nothing, has been heard of what happened there. This, there are many and varied. There are many and varied.
And Mr. Moroe, so is this then a case of too little, too late in terms of dealing with corruption? You're highlighting, stories that took place many, many years ago. So this is surely then an indictment on the ANC's capabilities to handle corruption, especially when it's coming from within its own ranks.
Well, I wouldn't say it's too little, too late. One should be, ought to be optimistic and say that we are delighted as the community of the Free State and perhaps of the whole country that at last the wheels of justice are beginning to move. And we see this as just the beginning, not the ending or, just one huge event. We believe that there's a process that must unfold. It is unfortunate, that our ANC in the past, 9 years, did not have, that presence of mind to check issues of this nature as they were reported. Because I believe many of them were reported, to the highest echelons of the movement, but not much was done. Everything, we seem to have been in a paralysis, and that is very unfortunate.
Dr. Moroe, do you believe that more people within the Free State should actually be held accountable for this? Your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't, say more people in the Free State, but I would say more people in the country should be, brought to book who used to go to the Free State, get projects that never materialize, but then they get the money. And I'm sure, that as the criminal justice system unearths, all these things, there'll be more, it'll be realized that the corruption in the Free State did not only involve the people of the Free State, but it involved people, from other parts of our country. And that's very regrettable because, in the final analysis, it is the people of the Free State who felt, and are still feeling the brunt, of that corruption.
And before we let you go, just the one question that Ziyanda asked you, Ngcobo Moroe, is could this really be a little, too late? Why is it for decades that the people of the Free State, knowing what was happening, were actually not taking more stringent action to make sure that this comes to an end, and then continues also giving the power and the responsibility to the very same people who then end up literally taking bread out of their mouths?
Perhaps one should put it this way, that corruption is not an easy, crime to detect because it is a crime of complicit. Yeah. The people who commit crime, those who connive with them, sit together and plan this corruption. It becomes, glaring as time goes on. When a project that was supposed to have been completed in 5 years' time, you only hear after 5 years that a school was supposed to have been built, and yet there's no school built. For instance, there is another report which one still has got to ascertain, that money was paid for through schools that were supposed to have been built. Money, every cent was paid. But in the ultimate analysis, not even a single school of those 3 schools were built. So corruption, yes, it's a crime of, it's unlike going to a person, rob a person, then that person goes to the police station. It is people who sit together and connive to do something wrong.
Dr. Moroe, I think we'll leave it at that for this afternoon. Thank you very much for your insight. That's the former advisor to Ace Magashule and ANC veteran Dr. Ike Moroe.